The rain hammered the cracked sidewalk like God's own judgment, turning the alley behind the group home into a river of regret. Isaiah huddled under the rusted fire escape, his 13-year-old frame shaking not just from the cold, but from the echo of his caseworker's voice. "You're getting a family, kid, real ones this time." And then, as the social worker's taillights vanished into the storm-slicked streets of Brooklyn, a van pulled up, its doors swinging open like the jaws of some suburban beast, revealing the Hargroves. Smiles too wide, eyes too sharp, hands outstretched not in welcome, but in claim. Isaiah's sneakers squelched against the linoleum as he crossed the threshold into the Hargrove house, a two-story colonial in the manicured sprawl of suburban Connecticut, where every lawn was clipped like a lie and every fence whispered, "Keep out." The air inside smelled of lemon polish and something sharper. Disinfectant, maybe, or the faint tang of unspoken rules. Margaret Hargrove, mid-40s with a bob haircut that screamed PTA president, enveloped him in a hug that felt like a straitjacket. "Welcome home, son," she murmured, her voice honeyed but her grip ironclad. Beside her stood Richard, her husband, a broad-shouldered accountant with a jaw like chiseled granite and eyes that scanned Isaiah like he was a balance sheet in the red. Their biological son, Caleb, 16 and lanky, lounged against the staircase, smirking as if Isaiah were the punchline to a joke no one had bothered to tell. The first dinner was a ritual of perfection. Roast chicken golden and steaming, mashed potatoes whipped to clouds, green beans arranged like soldiers on the plate. Isaiah poked at his food, stomach knotted tighter than the tie they'd forced on him for the ride over. "Eat up, Isaiah," Richard boomed, his fork stabbing a carrot with unnecessary force. "We don't waste good blessings here." Margaret nodded vigorously, her pearl earrings catching the chandelier light. "The Lord provides, and we honor that." Isaiah mumbled a thanks, but inside, his mind raced. Blessings? This felt like a transaction, him traded for tax breaks and photo ops at church picnics. That night, in the room they'd painted a bland beige. "Neutral like starting fresh," Margaret had said. Isaiah lay on the twin bed, staring at the popcorn ceiling. The walls were bare except for a single framed verse. Proverbs 22 verse 6, "Train up a child in the way he should go." He traced the words with his eyes, wondering what way they had in mind. Back at the group home, he'd shared bunks with kids who came and went like shadows. Foster failures, runaways, the one society chewed up and spat out. He'd learned early to keep his head down, his heart locked, especially after the whispers started about why he didn't chase girls like the other boys. But here, in this house of pressed linens and polished wood, he sensed a different kind of scrutiny, one that peeled back layers he hadn't even known he was hiding. Days blurred into a routine etched in scripture and suspicion. Mornings began with family devotions. Richard reading from the Bible in his gravelly baritone, Margaret bowing her head with theatrical piety, Caleb doodling in the margins of his notebook. Isaiah sat cross-legged on the living room rug, the verses washing over him like lukewarm water. "Love thy neighbor, honor thy father, resist temptation." Temptation. That word lingered, a hook in his gut, especially when Richard's gaze lingered a beat too long, appraising, as if measuring Isaiah's worth against some invisible ledger. School was a reprieve, though the bus ride into town felt like crossing enemy lines. Elmwood High was a brick behemoth of cliques and corridors, where jocks ruled the halls and theater kids haunted the shadows. Isaiah slipped into the background, his Brooklyn accent softened to fit, his clothes, hand-me-downs from Caleb, hanging loose on his slender frame. Lunchtimes found him in the library, nose buried in dog-eared sci-fi novels, worlds where boys could be heroes without apology. It was there he first spotted Elijah. Elijah Washington was everything Isaiah wasn't. Effortlessly cool, with locks tied back in a neat bun, skin like polished mahogany, and a laugh that cut through the hush like sunlight. A junior, he captained the debate team and volunteered at the local shelter, the kind of kid teachers name-dropped in staff meetings. Isaiah caught himself staring during English class, when Elijah recited Whitman with a fire that made the room feel alive. "I celebrate myself and sing myself," his voice wrapping around Isaiah like a secret. One afternoon, as Isaiah shelved returns in the back stacks, Elijah appeared, stacking periodicals with the grace of someone born to belong. "You knew?" Elijah asked, not looking up, but his tone was open, not interrogating. Isaiah nodded, fumbling a book. "Yeah, from the city. Isaiah Hargrove now, I guess." Elijah's eyebrows arched. "Hargrove? As in the Hargroves? Church folks?" "Something like that." Isaiah shrugged, heat creeping up his neck. Elijah grinned, handing back the dropped volume. "Dune. Fittingly epic. Well, Isaiah Hargrove, welcome to Elmwood. If you need a guide through the wilderness, I'm your Paul Atreides." They fell into easy rhythm after that. Study sessions in the library stretched into after-school walks along the cracked sidewalks of Main Street, where maple trees shed leaves like confetti. Elijah talked dreams, law school, civil rights, changing the world one argument at a time. Isaiah listened, sharing scraps of his old life. Graffiti walls and bed-stewy, the thrum of subway cars, the ache of being invisible. For the first time he felt seen, not as a project or a problem, but as Isaiah, sharp-witted, quick with a quip, eyes that held galaxies. But home loomed like a shadow. Margaret's questions sharpened. "Any nice girls in your classes?" Richard's pats on the back lingered, testing boundaries. Caleb, sensing weakness, cornered Isaiah one evening in the garage, tools clinking like accusations. "Dad says you're different. You know what that means?" His breath reeked of stolen cigarettes. Isaiah shoved past, heart pounding, but the seed was planted: doubt, fear, the whisper that maybe they were right to watch him so closely. Winter descended, blanketing Connecticut in frost and facade. Christmas was a spectacle. Twinkling lights, a tree taller than reason. Carols belted out with fervor that bordered on frenzy. Isaiah unwrapped sensible gifts. A Bible concordance, wool sweaters, a pocket watch engraved with time to choose wisely. He forced smiles, but inside, isolation gnawed. Elijah invited him to his family's Kwanzaa celebration, a warm chaos of kinfolks, laughter echoing off exposed brick in their Hartford row house. There, amid the scent of collards and cornbread, Isaiah met Elijah's parents. Dr. Washington, a stern but kind pediatrician, and Lena, a jazz singer with a voice like velvet thunder. They enveloped him without question, Elijah's hand brushing his under the table, a spark that lit something forbidden and fierce. That night, as snow fell soft outside, Elijah walked Isaiah to the bus stop. Their breaths mingled in the cold air. "You're not like them, you know," Elijah said quietly. "The Hargroves. You're more." Isaiah's throat tightened. "What if I'm not enough?" Elijah stopped, turning him gently by the shoulders. Their eyes locked, the world narrowing to that space between. "You're everything." And then, tentative as a prayer, Elijah leaned in, lips brushing Isaiah's in a kiss that tasted of cinnamon and courage. Soft, seismic, shattering the ice around Isaiah's heart. It was a beginning, fragile as new frost. But in that moment, Isaiah glimpsed a horizon beyond the Hargrove walls. Little did he know, the storm brewing there would test every vow, every touch, every dream they dared to share. Spring thawed the ground, but not the tensions at home. Isaiah navigated the Hargrove household like a minefield, his secret blooming in stolen moments with Elijah. Notes slipped into lockers, glances across crowded cafeterias, late-night texts that glowed like fireflies in the dark. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow," Elijah would write, followed by a heart emoji that made Isaiah's chest ache with a joy he'd never named. They met in hidden spots. The old mill by the river, where willows wept into the water, or the back pews of the community center after debate practice, whispering futures over vending machine sodas. Elijah was a whirlwind of ambition, pulling Isaiah into his orbit. "Join the team," he'd urged one afternoon, as they sprawled on the mill's weathered planks, feet dangling over the lazy current. "Your mind's sharper than half those seniors. We need you." Isaiah hesitated. Debate meant spotlights, scrutiny, a stage where his voice might crack open truths he wasn't ready to voice. But Elijah's eyes, warm and insistent, won out. At tryouts, Isaiah stood before the panel, palms slick, and dismantled a prompt on civil disobedience with a passion born of his own unspoken rebellions. Thoreau didn't just sit by the pond, he argued, voice steadying as Elijah nodded from the back. He burned bridges to build better ones. Applause followed, tentative at first, then thunderous. Elijah hooped, slinging an arm around him in congratulations that lingered just a beat too long. Word spread fast in Elmwood's echo chamber. Caleb heard first, of course. Overheard whispers in the halls, saw the way Isaiah's phone buzzed at odd hours. One Saturday, as Isaiah mowed the Hargrove lawn under Richard's watchful eye, Caleb sauntered over, rake in hand like a scepter. Heard you're on debate with that Washington kid. The gay one. The word landed like a slap, casual cruelty wrapped in curiosity. Isaiah gripped the mower handle, engine roaring his silence. Mind your business, Caleb. But Caleb leaned in, smirk twisting. Dad says it's a bad influence. You gonna let some city boy turn you? Isaiah shut off the mower, the sudden quiet deafening. Turn me into what? Someone who thinks for himself. Caleb laughed, sharp and hollow. Into a freak, like him. That evening, dinner cracked along fault lines. Richard cleared his throat over pot roast, his knife slicing meat with deliberate precision. Heard about this debate club, Isaiah. Good for the resume, but watch who you run with. Margaret chimed in, her fork pausing midair. We're proud of your efforts, dear, but associations matter. Birds of a feather. Isaiah's appetite fled. Elijah's the best arguer in the school. Helped me win my first round. Richard's eyes narrowed, fork clattering to his plate. Elijah, the boy from that family. Liberal types, aren't they? We adopted you to give you structure, son. Not to have you led astray. The word adopted hung heavy, a reminder of his precarious perch. Isaiah pushed back his chair, pulse thundering. Led astray? By learning? By friends? Margaret reached across, her hand cool on his. We're just looking out for you, Isaiah. The world's full of snares. Remember Proverbs. I know the verses, he snapped, rarer fire in his voice. But maybe the world's bigger than your book. The table froze. Richard's face reddened, a vein pulsing at his temple. Watch your tone, boy. This is God's house, and you'll respect it. Isaiah bolted upstairs, door slamming like a declaration. In his room, he scrolled through Elijah's messages, each one a lifeline. Missed you today. Pine for your smile. Tears blurred the screen, not of defeat, but defiance. He texted back, need you. Now. They met at the mill under a canopy of stars, the river murmuring secrets. Elijah pulled him close, arms a fortress against the fray. What happened? He asked, thumb brushing Isaiah's cheek. Isaiah spilled it all, the barbs, the Bible as bludgeon, the suffocating sense of being remade in their image. Elijah listened, fury flickering in his eyes. They're scared of you, of what you could become without their chains. And what am I becoming? Isaiah whispered, forehead against Elijah's. Free. Elijah kissed him then, deeper this time, a promise sealed in the hush of night. Hands explored tentatively, fingers lacing, backs stroked, boundaries pushed but never breached. A dance of discovery in the sacred space they'd carved. Summer unfurled like a rebellion. Debate camp in Boston became their escape. 2 weeks of mock trials and midnight confessions in dorm bunks, Isaiah and Elijah rooming together by lucky design. They aced every round, their partnership electric. Isaiah's raw intuition meshing with Elijah's polished rhetoric. Evenings dissolved into walks along the Charles, ice cream melting on their tongues as they dreamed aloud. Harvard for me, Elijah said one night, skipping stones across the water. You too. We'll tear down walls together. Isaiah grinned, stone arcing perfect. Lawyers against the world. Hargrove and Washington, attorneys at injustice. But reality intruded via a late-night call from Margaret. Come home early, Isaiah. Family emergency. Dread coiled in his gut. The drive back with chaperones was silent agony. Elijah's hand squeezing his at the bus depot goodbye. Call me. Every day. The emergency was an ambush. Richard waited in the living room, flanked by Margaret and a pastor from their megachurch. Elder Grimes, silver-haired and stern, Bible in hand like a gavel. Caleb lurked in the doorway, arms crossed. Sit, Richard commanded, gesturing to the couch. Isaiah obeyed, wariness sharpening his senses. We know about the boy, Margaret said softly, tears glistening like accusations. Elijah, the activities. Isaiah's blood iced. Activities? You mean debate? Grimes leaned forward, voice oily with concern. Sodomy, son. The devil's workshop. Your fathers shared your struggles. We're here to help. Struggles? Isaiah's mind reeled. Had they rifled his phone? Eavesdropped? The betrayal stung deeper than fear. You spied on me? Richard's jaw clenched. We protected you. From yourself. This isn't who you are, it's a phase, a test. We'll pray it out. Elder Grimes produced pamphlets. Conversion therapy flyers. Glossy lies promising freedom from chains. Isaiah's hands trembled as he shoved them away. I'm not broken, and neither is he. The room erupted, Richard's bellows of scripture, Margaret's sobs, Caleb's snickers. Isaiah fled to his room, barricading the door with his dresser. His phone buzzed. Elijah. Home safe? Love you. Tears fell hot as he typed. They know. Pray for me. The war had begun, not with shouts, but with the quiet unraveling of trust. Isaiah curled on his bed, the weight of their love crushing like stone. Yet in the dark, Elijah's words echoed free, and for the first time he believed it might be possible. Fall semester crashed in like a verdict. Elmwood High buzzed with homecoming hype, but for Isaiah, every corridor was a gauntlet. Whispers trailed him. Hargrove's got a boyfriend. Freak show. Fueled by Caleb's loose lips and the church grapevine. Teachers offered sympathetic nods, but their eyes darted away, complicit in the small-town code. Elijah, ever the shield, walked him to classes, hand brushing his in defiant solidarity. Ignore them, he'd murmur. Their ghosts haunting their own fears. Debate season intensified, a battlefield where words were weapons. Isaiah and Elijah dominated regionals, their tag team on topics like reproductive rights in the Bible Belt drawing scouts from Yale. Off stage, their bond deepened study marathons dissolving into quiet intimacies. Forehead kisses in empty green rooms, shared hoodies that smelled of Elijah's sandalwood cologne. Isaiah confided his adoption story one rainy afternoon in the auditorium, rain pattering like applause. They took me in to save me, straighten me out, like a bent nail. Elijah's face darkened. That's not family. That's prison. It's all I got, Isaiah admitted, vulnerability raw. Not anymore. Elijah pulled him into an embrace, heartbeat sinking like a vow. In that hold, Isaiah felt roots taking hold, not in the Hargrove soil, but in this chosen ground. Home was hellfire. Richard escalated. Mandatory counseling with Grimes, sessions in the church basement where Isaiah sat rigid under fluorescent buzz, reciting sins he hadn't committed. Admit it, Grimes prodded, pen poised over a notepad. The urges. Name them to tame them. Isaiah stared at the stained carpet, silent as stone. Margaret hovered with herbal teas, calming chamomile dear. But her eyes pleaded for compliance, for the son she could parade. Caleb's torments peaked one Halloween. Isaiah's locker vandalized with slurs scrawled in red marker. Candy corn scattered like taunts. He confronted his brother in the parking lot, fists balled. Why? What did I ever do to you? Caleb sneered, breath fogging in the chill. You're ruining us. Dad's pissed. Says you're why the church committee's whispering. Fix yourself or get out. The ultimatum landed like a fracture. That night, Isaiah packed a duffel. Essentials only, dreams tucked in his chest. He slipped out to meet Elijah at the river, the water black as his mood. I can't breathe there, he confessed, voice cracking. They're breaking me, like they planned. Elijah's arms encircled him, fierce and unyielding. Then leave. Stay with me. Mom and Dad. They'll understand. Isaiah searched his face, hope warring with terror. And school? The team. We'll fight for it. Together. Their kiss that night was desperate. A lifeline in the gale, lips urgent, hands clinging, souls merging in the moonlit rush. The next morning, Isaiah confronted the Hargroves over breakfast, duffel at his feet like a gauntlet thrown. I'm gay, and I'm leaving, Margaret gasped, hand to her throat. Richard surged up, chair toppling. Over my dead body. You're our son. By paper. Isaiah shot back, voice steel. Not by choice. You wanted a project, not a person. Grimes was summoned, prayers invoked, but Isaiah walked out, Elijah waiting in his beat-up Civic. The Washington home welcomed him with open arms. Lena's hug maternal. Dr. Washington's nod paternal. This is your space now, she said, handing him a key. Elijah showed him to the guest room. But that first night, they curled together on the narrow bed, whispers weaving safety nets. Life recalibrated. Isaiah transferred credits seamlessly, crashing on the Washington couch until a scholarship spot opened at the local community center's youth program. Debate thrived. They qualified for nationals in D.C., their prep sessions electric with strategy and stolen glances. Elijah's family became his Sunday jazz brunches, where Lena crooned Ellington and Isaiah harmonized shyly. Barbecues where Dr. Washington grilled ribs and life lessons. Yet shadows lingered. Richard's calls escalated. Voicemails laced with scripture and sorrow. Come home, son. We can fix this. Margaret sent letters, perfumed pleas for reconciliation. Isaiah read them in secret, heart-twisting. Had he glimpsed love beneath the dogma? Caleb's silence was loudest, a void that echoed abandonment. Winter Nationals loomed, a pinnacle and precipice. In D.C., the team bunked in a bustling hotel, Isaiah and Elijah sharing a room by coach's oversight. Nerves jangled as they prepped for finals. Should religious freedom trump LGBTQ plus rights? Isaiah's opening salvos drew gasps, personal, unflinching. Freedom isn't selective. It's not a club with a velvet rope. Elijah followed, dismantling counterarguments with surgical grace. They won, the gavel's bang echoing triumph. Celebrations spilled into the night. Team pizza. Then Elijah pulling Isaiah to the mall, monuments glowing like beacons. Under the Lincoln Memorial's shadow, Elijah dropped to one knee, not with a ring but a promise. A silver chain with a tiny equality pendant. Wear this when I'm not there. Remember us. Isaiah fastened it, tears silvering his lashes. Always. Their embrace there, amid history's weight, felt eternal. Two boys rewriting their narrative. But betrayal brewed back home. Unbeknownst to them, Caleb had been feeding intel to Richard. Texts forwarded, alibis unraveled. On the flight back, Isaiah's phone lit with a message from an unknown. A photo of him and Elijah kissing at the river, time-stamped months ago. Attached, your family knows everything. Run while you can. Panic surged. Elijah gripped his hand. Who? Caleb. Betrayal's blade twisted deep. Isaiah's brother, blood of his paper family, had sold him out, not for hate, but for approval's hollow coin. They landed to a storm. Richard at the airport, flanked by police. False report, he claimed, eyes cold. Missing minor. You're coming home. Dr. Washington intervened, lawyer hat on, emancipation papers waving. He's 17. Emancipated. Legally mine to protect. A standoff ensued. Flashes popping from a local reporter. Whispers of scandal rippling. Richard's facade cracked, voice breaking. He's my son. Not anymore, Isaiah said, stepping forward, Elijah at his side. You tried to break me. But look, I'm whole. The cops deferred. Richard retreated, defeated. But the damage festered. Church boycotts hit the Washington's clinic. Elijah's college apps flagged with anonymous tips. They're not done, Elijah warned. As they huddled in his room that night, Isaiah nodded, chain glinting. Neither are we. Climax crested not in violence, but verdict. A town hall confrontation, sparked by the reporter's expose. Isaiah took the mic, voice steady as Elijah's hand in his. They adopted me to mold me, but love isn't ownership. It's letting go. The room split, claps, jeers, but in Elijah's proud gaze, Isaiah found absolution. Yet victory's afterglow dimmed with a whisper of fracture. Elijah, accepted to Stanford early, pulled Isaiah aside post-Halloween. Full ride. But it's California. Isaiah's heart plummeted. And me? Community college here. We'll make it work. Visits, calls. The words rang hollow, distance a chasm. That night, as fireworks cracked for some forgotten festivity, Isaiah lay awake. Elijah snores soft beside him. Freedom tasted bittersweet. Love's bloom shadowed by goodbye's thorn. The fracture widened with winter's grip. Elijah's departure loomed like a guillotine. Stanford's siren call pulling him west while Isaiah anchored in Elmwood's mire. Applications piled up for Isaiah. Scholarships to state schools. A tentative nod from NYU, but doubt gnawed. Could he chase dreams without Elijah's gravity? Their days blurred into fevered farewells. Cram sessions laced with longing, river walks where hands clasped tighter, as if friction could forge eternity. Elijah's send-off was a quiet agony. The Washingtons threw a barbecue. Ribs smoking, Lena's playlist swinging from Coltrane to contemporary R&B. Kinfox toasted, "To new horizons!" But Isaiah's smile strained, the pendant heavy against his chest. As dusk fell, Elijah drew him to the backyard oak, its branches gnarled like old regrets. "This isn't goodbye," he vowed, lips brushing Isaiah's temple. "It's see you soon." Isaiah clung, inhaling him, sandalwood and promise. "Every mile hurts already." Then bridge them. Elijah pressed a journal into his hands, leather-bound, inscribed, "For the stories we'll write together." Their kiss was a tempest, fierce, farewell-flavored, before Elijah boarded the red-eye, leaving Isaiah adrift in the empty driveway, stars mocking his solitude. Life without Elijah was a hollow echo. Isaiah threw himself into senior year. Debate captaincy, tutoring gigs at the center, essays that poured his soul onto pages. Caleb's betrayal festered unspoken. A single text, "Sorry," arrived months later, deleted unread. The Hargroves faded to periphery. Margaret's Christmas card, a tentative olive branch. Richard's silence, a wall unbreached. Isaiah thrived in fragments. NYU acceptance letter framed on the Washington fridge. But nights brought ghosts. Dreams where Elijah's laugh dissolved into static. Spring thawed isolation when Jamal entered the frame. A transfer from Chicago, debate recruit with a grin like mischief and locks longer than Elijah's. He crashed Isaiah's practices, quips flying like sparks. "You argue like you're fighting demons, man." Jamal's energy was infectious, basketball hoops after school, hip-hop playlists blasting in his Jeep. Isaiah laughed easier, the pendant tucked under shirts, a talisman not yet retired. But guilt shadowed flirtations. Jamal's hand on his shoulder lingered. Invitations to movies piled up. "You're holding back," Jamal said one evening over diner fries, neon buzzing outside. "Like you're waiting for permission to live." Isaiah stirred his milkshake, spoon clinking. "Lost someone. Still hurts." Jamal nodded, eyes kind. "Grief's a thief, but it doesn't own you." The pull toward Jamal was gravitational, a reminder that love could rematerialize. Yet loyalty chained Isaiah. Elijah's calls dwindled to weekly, voices strained across time zones, crushing midterms. "Miss you." Texts grew sparse, emojis substituting depth. Distance bred drift. Isaiah glimpsed it in Elijah's Instagram. Study groups with sharp-jawed co-eds, captions of new chapters. Betrayal's second strike came via a mutual friend. A screenshot of Elijah at a campus party. Arm around a guy named Theo. Lithe, laughing, everything Isaiah wasn't in that moment. Just friends. Elijah swore on a frantic call. "You know me." Isaiah wanted to believe, but cracks spiderwebbed. "Do I? Or is this the see you soon turning into so long?" Elijah's sigh crackled the line. "Stanford's intense. But you're my anchor." Words, not deeds. Isaiah hung up, journal unopened, pages blank as betrayals bite. Summer scorched old wounds. Isaiah interned at a Hartford legal aid clinic, pro bono for queer youth, cases mirroring his scars. There, he mentored teens like he'd once been, wide-eyed, wary. One kid, Marcus, reminded him of 13-year-old Isaiah. Foster shuffle, faith families' false hope. They pray the gay away, Marcus muttered during a session. Isaiah shared his story, voice steady. Prayer didn't break me. It freed me to choose my path. The work healed in layers, but Elijah's absence excavated. A visit was planned, Elijah flying east for July 4th, but cancellation hit like shrapnel. Family emergency. Rain check. Isaiah drove to the river alone, journal in hand, finally inking truths. Love shouldn't feel like loss. Maybe it's time to let go. Jamal became ballast. Their first real date was impromptu. A rooftop screening of Moonlight in the city, skyline twinkling like approval. Jamal's commentary, witty, warm, drew laughter from Isaiah's depths. As credits rolled, Jamal turned, eyes searching. You're glowing tonight. Isaiah leaned in, testing waters. Their kiss was tentative, tasting of popcorn and possibility, gentle, grounding. No thunder, but no tears either. This okay? Jamal whispered. More than, Isaiah replied, pendant warm against his skin. Word reached Elijah via the grapevine, small world, cruel connections. The blow-up was volcanic. Voicemails raging. How could you? After everything. Isaiah met him at the airport anyway. Elijah storming off the plane, face thunderous. You're moving on? With him. Elijah accused in the terminal, voices hushed by travelers. Isaiah's chin lifted. You drifted first. Parties, silences. I waited, but waiting's not living. Elijah's eyes welled. I was building us a future. Stanford's for scholarships. For you. Isaiah's voice cracked. I needed you here. Not promises across plains. The argument spilled into the parking garage. Echoes amplifying anguish. I loved you, Elijah choked. Still do. Love doesn't hoard. Isaiah countered, tears hot. It releases. Elijah left on the next flight. Journal returned unopened. A rejection sharper than words. Isaiah drove home gutted. Jamal's texts a soft landing. Here if you need. Fall brought reinvention. NYU beckoned. Dorm life a whirlwind of lectures and liberation. Isaiah dove into poli-sci, queering curricula in seminars, his voice now a force. Jamal visited weekends, their rhythms syncing, movie marathons, museum rambles, kisses evolving into comfort. No pedestal, just partnership. But echoes lingered. A chance encounter at a conference. Elijah, polished in a suit, badge reading, Stanford law prospect. Awkward hellos thawed into coffees, confessions over lattes. Theo was a mistake, Elijah admitted. A distraction from missing you. Isaiah sipped, steady. We were kids playing house. Needed to grow apart to grow up. Elijah nodded, wistful. Proud of you. Heard about your clinic work. Changing lives. You too. World needs your fire. No rekindling, just respect. A bridge rebuilt as friendship. Climax crested unexpectedly. Richard's stroke, announced in a trembling Margaret call. Isaiah returned to the Hargrove house, sterile with hospital regret. Richard lay frail, monitors beeping accusations. Forgive me, he rasped, hand questing. Tried to save you. From hell. Isaiah sat, pendant glinting. Hell was the hate, not who I am. Margaret wept beside. We were wrong. Caleb too, he's in therapy, facing his part. Isaiah squeezed Richard's hand. Absolution bittersweet. Healing starts with truth. As Richard stabilized, Isaiah left lighter. Not mended fully, but merciful. Back at NYU, Jamal waited with takeout and open arms. Rough. Worth it, Isaiah said, pulling him close. Love, he realized, was mosaic, pieces of pain pieced into beauty. Yet fate twisted once more. Elijah's email arrived weeks later. Congrats on the fellowship. One more thing. Saw this and thought of you. Attached. A job posting at a San Francisco firm, civil rights focus. Room for two. Isaiah stared at the screen, Jamal asleep beside him. Crossroads. Anchor here, or chase horizons anew. The pendant caught light, a reminder, rise higher always. The fellowship was a lifeline, NYU's honors program thrusting Isaiah into the fray of advocacy, clerking for a federal judge on landmark cases. Marriage equality appeals, trans rights battles. Courtrooms became cathedrals, briefs his psalms. Jamal grounded the chaos. Their apartment a cozy nest in Greenwich Village. Bookshelves sagging, jazz vinyls spinning late. You're unstoppable, Jamal murmured one night, tracing Isaiah's jaw as rain lashed the windows. Their love was steady flame. Shared silences over coffee, spontaneous dances in the kitchen, ambitions braided without competition. Elijah's shadow lengthened subtly. Holiday cards arrived, Stanford stamps bearing updates. Top of my class. Thinking of you. Isaiah replied politely, bridge intact, no toll booth. But the San Francisco posting nagged, a whisper of what-ifs. During a winter break visit to the Washingtons, Lena pulled him aside amid her famous gumbo. Heard from Eli? Her eyes twinkled, maternal radar keen. Isaiah stirred the pot, steam rising like confessions. Emails. Friendly. She nodded, ladle pausing. Boys still carrying a torch. But you've built a bonfire here. Lena's wisdom lingered as Isaiah returned, resolve hardening. He applied to Columbia Law on a whim, proximity to Jamal, depth in policy. Acceptance came swift, scholarship gilded. Celebrations spilled into spring. Rooftop parties where Jamal proposed with a keychain ring. To all the doors we'll kick down. Isaiah laughed through tears. Yes, a breath away. But betrayal's echo resounded in summer's heat. Caleb surfaced, unannounced at the apartment door. Gaunt, eyes haunted. Can we talk? Isaiah hesitated, then stepped aside, Jamal discreetly absent. Over weak tea, Caleb unraveled. Therapy's hell. Dad's better, but I sold you out for his nod. Thought it'd make me madder. Isaiah's grip whitened on his mug. You destroyed trust. For scraps. Caleb's head bowed. I know. Working on me AA groups for everything. Want to make amends. If you'll let. The word amends hung. A thread to snip or so. Isaiah exhaled. Start by living true. No more games. Caleb nodded, leaving a number. Call if you need. Door closed. Isaiah sank to the couch, turmoil churning. Jamal found him there, enveloping without question. Family's messy, he said simply. Yours now includes me. Autumn gilded the path to Columbia. Isaiah thrived in lectures, interning at Lambda Legal, arguments sharpening like blades. Elijah's path converged at a gala. New York Bar Association. Chandeliers dripping opulence. Elijah approached, suit tailored sharp, smile tentative. Fancy seeing you here. Isaiah clinked glasses. World's small for warriors. They talked shop, cases, causes, their old synergy sparking sans spark. Jamal joined later, arm loose around Isaiah's waist. Elijah's eyes flickering acknowledgement. He's lucky, Elijah said to Jamal, genuine. Take care of him. Planning to, Jamal replied, easy warmth. As Elijah departed, he slipped Isaiah a card. If paths cross west, doors open, no strings. Isaiah pocketed it, unopened promise. Climax ignited in fire's guise. Richard's relapse, cancer, stage 3 summoned Isaiah home. The Hargrove house, once fortress, now fragile. Margaret aged a decade. Caleb hovering like a penitent ghost. Richard, bedbound, beckoned weakly. Pride, he whispered, was my poison. Yours, strength. Isaiah sat vigil, reading aloud from the journal. Entries of rise, not ruin. You gave me a name, he said softly. I gave myself a life. Richard passed at dawn, hand in Isaiah's, peace in his sigh. The funeral was a crossroads. Church pews filled with wary faces, but Isaiah spoke eulogy unflinching. He taught me structure. I taught him grace. Whispers followed, judgment but also nods of respect. In the aftermath, Margaret pulled him aside. Check in hand. For school. No strings, repay when you can. Her eyes, once steel, softened. We failed you. Let us help now. Isaiah accepted, not for money, but mending. Caleb lingered, tentative ally. Proud of you, bro. Back in the city, grief-tempered growth. Jamal proposed properly, knee bent in Central Park, ring simple silver. Marry me? Build this forever. Yes. Isaiah breathed, world blurring joyful. Elijah's wedding invite arrived months later, to Theo Napa ceremony. Isaiah attended with Jamal, toasting amid vineyards. Happily ever after? Elijah asked, arm around his husband. Isaiah grinned, Jamal's hand in his. Every after. Betrayal scars faded to stories. Fuel for Isaiah's first book, a memoir in progress. Uprooted and unbowed. Publishers circled, sensing the human pulse. Yet one final twist. A call from San Francisco, Elijah's firm, headhunting for a junior associate. Your work's legendary. Join us. Isaiah glanced at Jamal, city lights winking. Tempting, but roots here run deep. Understand. Elijah chuckled. Rise wherever you land. Hanging up, Isaiah felt the arc complete. Not linear triumph, but layered ascent. From alley rain to skyline views he'd climbed, unbroken. Years folded like chapters. Isaiah's life a tapestry of triumphs woven tight. Columbia law blurred into practice. Partner track at a boutique firm specializing in equity cases. Amicus briefs that reshaped precedents. Jamal climbed journalism ranks. His investigative pieces on foster reform earning Pulitzers. Spotlights that amplified Isaiah's quiet thunder. Their wedding was intimate. Brooklyn rooftop at sunset. Lena officiating with jazz-infused vows. Washington's and a smattering of chosen kin toasting under string lights. To loves that lift, Jamal murmured. Rings sliding home. Gold band etched with a phoenix. The Hargrove reconciliation deepened in ripples. Margaret volunteered at the clinic Isaiah founded. Queer Youth Allies. A Hartford haven offering counseling, legal aid, safe sleeps. Making amends, she said one afternoon, sorting flyers with steady hands. Caleb, sober 2 years, co-facilitated groups, his story a cautionary bridge. I was the betrayer, now the builder. Isaiah watched them, once architects of his cage, now allies in expansion, humanity's messy grace. Elijah's orbit intersected sporadically. Joint panels on civil rights, where their banter crackled like old vinyl. Theo became a friend, dry wit, shared recipes. Proving love's forms multiplied, not divided. You two were the spark, Theo told Isaiah over wine one conference night. Glad it lit the world. Isaiah's memoir launched to acclaim. Bent but unbroken. Climbing bestsellers, film rights buzzing. Tours took him cross-country, readings in LA bookstores, TED Talks on resilience. In each city, fans shared echoes. Your story saved me. Isaiah absorbed, humbled, his rise a ladder for others. Midlife markers arrived gentle. A brownstone purchase in Harlem, walls lined with art, Basquiat prints, Elijah's gifted sketch from college days. Jamal's first novel dropped, dedication. To I, my muse, my mirror. Parenthood beckoned via surrogacy. Twins, a boy and girl, named after anchors. Elias for Elijah's fire. Mira for Margaret's quiet redemption. Fatherhood reshaped Isaiah, softening edges. Late nights rocking Elias, whose giggles echoed old joys. Myra's fierce questions. Why do people hate different? Prompting honest tales. Because fear's a shadow, he'd say. But light scatters it. Conflict resurfaced in waves. Never title but testing. A landmark case, challenging conversion bans, Drew Hargrove ghosts. Richard's old church protesting, placards waving outdated ire. Isaiah faced them in court, then coffee after. Dialogues, not debates. We evolved, a former deacon admitted. Your light showed the way. Betrayal's final echo came personal. Caleb's relapse, a call at 2 a.m. Slipped. Need help. Isaiah drove through rain-slicked dawn, echoing his arrival years prior. Rehab reunion was raw. You saved me once, Caleb wept. Let me earn it back. Isaiah nodded, hand extended. We all slip, rise together. Humanism bloomed in these interstices. Not erasure of pain, but integration. Isaiah and Jamal parented with intention. Pride parades with toddlers on shoulders, story hours blending scripture and spectrum. Love's the only law, Isaiah taught, pendant long retired but spirit enduring. Decades later, at 50, Isaiah reflected from a porch swing. Grandkids tumbling in the yard, Jamal's head on his shoulder. A letter arrived, Elijah's, penned from a vineyard retreat. Retiring from the firm. Writing my truths now, yours inspired. Grateful for the boy who rose and lifted us all. Isaiah smiled, folding it away. The alley rain felt mythic, a baptism long past. He'd been adopted to break, but broke free instead. Heart intact, love's layered, legacy luminous. In twilight's hush, he whispered to the stars, higher still, and the world, vast and welcoming, whispered back.